Messing up a higher time frame bias means that your lower time frame confirmations are always going to be off. But there's a quick fix to this if you quickly watch this video, right? So what we had over here is we had the most recent all-time high that was broken over here. So now we had the all-time structural high over here, and we had the all-time structural low over here, right? So this is important to understand. Now from here, you need to understand your premium and discount array. So we have a structural low and we have a structural high over here. But when we zoom into the actual price action itself, what we can see is that we see a supply chain forming. So a supply chain are a bunch of bearish fair value gaps. So we had a fair value gap just over here. I always mark the candle before the fair value gap. Notice how price respects this and heads down with a wick. Now from here, we use the exact same time frame logic over here. So the markets come in to this fair value gap, and notice how we have kind of a body wick rejection to the downside. This is what we call a supply chain, where we see a bearish fair value gap hold and break. Then we see a bearish fair value gap hold and break. But what makes these bearish fair value gaps actually valid is the fact that we're above an all-time high like this, and notice how we're also above this 50% level. Now, when you're above this 50% level, the bearish fair value gaps become a lot more probable, right? They become a much better target to look for sells. Now the question is, where do we target, right? So notice how we have a pretty large bearish fair value gap down here. So the markets are well within its rights to target this fair value gap that currently hasn't been filled, and this is below the 50% level. So what we can expect is something like this, right? So we can expect price to fill some of this fair value gap and eventually head down lower, becoming our next overall fair value gap to target. Now, another thing that gives us confirmation is that we have some trend line liquidity resting below or just at the equilibrium, as well as this fair value gap. So you want to be trading from premium to discount and discount back up to premium.